Okay, let's talk about risk assessments. I don't want you to panic with regards to your inspection when it comes to your risk assessments because it's unlikely you're going to be asked about them. Or you'd be very unlucky to be asked if you've got risk assessments done. But it's something I'd like you to be aware of just in case you ask for them by people like venue organisers or your insurers. So you can leave this for now and come back to it when you're ready to. Remember, you've got lifetime access to this, so you can pop back whenever the subject comes up. So let's get to it. What exactly is a risk assessment? It's a document that outlines all risks to health and safety in our businesses, and it shows the procedures that we have in place to basically minimise and control those risks. Essentially, it's about keeping ourselves, our family, any visitors, whether that be customers or delivery drivers, and the general public at any events that we do safe. It's about responsibility, not about covering your back. Our public liability insurance, it might cover us if somebody falls over our hose pipe when they come to pick a cake up, but it doesn't mean you shouldn't be taking every step possible to make sure that these things shouldn't happen in the first place. There's different kinds of risk assessments that you might need or want to do. I've produced templates for each one just to make it nice and easy for you. So when it comes to a COVID risk assessment, a few have said it's not being mentioned now during inspections, but it's a very emotional subject. If you do want to do one, then I'm going to give you a template for it anyway. There are COVID training certificates that you can do for free online, and they're still up there on some of the big training platforms. Basically, do a quick Google and you'll come across one. Your fire risk assessment, this one might open your eyes. We use our cookers a hell of a lot more, so we've got a source of heat. We also store a lot more packaging materials, don't we? Which packaging materials are basically house fire fuel. So it can open your eyes doing a fire one. I really would recommend it. Your insurance may insist that you do one. They might not even mention it, so don't panic too much. I think I've already recommended adding to your closing checks to double check you've switched everything off. All hot things switched off at the end of every working day. If you're buying or using old or second-hand fridges and freezers, I would recommend having them pack tested. Now, this is from experience here. I had my favourite fridge that always kept a really good stable temperature were basically condemned during a pack test. So it made me jump a bit. So definitely, I wouldn't have known that there were anything wrong with that fridge. So I would recommend pack testing, especially if your equipment's a little bit old. Health and safety. These risks, a risk assessment for health and safety is basically to cover all people who come to your property. This one, it's all trips and slips. Have you got bitey dogs? Have you got a gate that's got a spring on it to slam it shut? Have you got doors that slam in the wind? Trapping fingers. Hose pipes, as I've mentioned, wonky steps. I'd recommend buying or loaning a book about health and safety at work just to teach yourself 100%, because if you've never had any kind of health and safety training in a workplace, you're not really going to know anything about it. It is important. It does just open your eyes. Once you employ staff, your health and safety responsibilities go off the scale, especially if you've got more than 5. You'll need employer's liability insurance as well to cover you. You might even need to up your vehicle insurance if you're transporting staff around, to wholesalers or to events, things like that. So venues, markets and events, some organisers will ask you for one. Again, it's injury hazards like trailing tablecloths, A-boards and blackboards, tables and gazebos in the wind. I once had a table full of goodies try and take off in the wind. I would have thought that the weight of it all had held it down, and it didn't. There were like a number of people kind of rushed at table to catch it. I don't think I lost anything from what I remember. It was quite some years back now, but it was a bit scary. If I'd done, my health and safety risk assessment, I'd have weighted my table down, knowing it were going to be windy. Any electricals, like if you've got a laptop or a tablet, a wedding fair for a slideshow, if you've got any sort of lighting like fairy lights or anything, venue organisers will often ask for them to be pack tested. It's not expensive, and to be honest, it's worth it for the peace of mind, that everything's safe. So essentially, every risk assessment you do is going to contain, number one, what is the hazard? Identify all the hazards. Number two, what is the level of risk? Is it low, medium or high risk? Number three, who is at risk and how often and when are they at risk? And number four, all the precautions and controls that you've put in place to basically minimise or even prevent these risks completely. So I've made it easy for you. See the templates that I'll attach to this. You can download them and fill them in. And as always, I'm here to answer any questions if you like.